miss you. And every time I think of you, I get this mind to touch you. I start to cry.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Jackie, and yes, I'm back with part 2 of my review for The Chi Season 4, Episode 5. And this video is just going to be focusing on Jake, Jemma, and Kevin. I left them out of my part 1 on purpose because I want to go into further detail and dig deeper into this storyline, and even go back to Season 3 to kind of point out some things that were going on that people that clearly weren't paying attention to. And basically just, explain how if you didn't see this coming, you should have seen it coming. I seen it coming a long time ago. I even made a video about it. If y'all follow me, y'all know I made a predictions video about it last season, the beginning of last season, saying that this was going to happen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So at the beginning of this episode, Kevin is on the phone with Jemma, and he's texting her, and he's basically just letting her know that he got his tux, and try to see if she wants to coordinate and everything. And she's like, "Nah, I'm good." And he was like, "You don't want to see my tux?" She was like, "It's not that big a deal." He was like, "It is, you're your dad." And she rolls her eyes, and she's like, "Everything's a big deal to him." And so then after that, he calls her, and she picks up. We see her, and you can automatically right away tell that it's somebody there with her because she keeps looking to her left. So he was like, "You okay? You want me to come over there?" And she was like, "No. I want my dad knocking on my door every 5 minutes." She was like, "Okay." She was like, "I'll talk to you later." He was like, "I love you." And, she said she loved him too, and then she hung up. Then we see who she was looking at, and it was Jake. And he was like, "Are you all right?" She was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay, then, let's go." And then it goes to, the opening credits or whatever. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, like, what the hell? At first I thought they was at, Jake and them house, but then I seen their door, and I'm like, no, they got to be at Jim's house. This I didn't understand. But then the next scene, we see Jake, and he's telling her, like, "You got to tell Kev." And she's like, "Why?" And I'm looking like, "Half of what?" You know what I'm saying? I looked at him like, "What? What you mean, why?" Like, he was like, "Because." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and Jake was looking at this girl like, "What?" So he was like, even though, he may get on my nerves sometimes, that's still my brother or whatever. And we gonna have to tell him, you know what I'm saying? So, you gonna have to tell him. And she was like, she wasn't trying to do it or whatever. And he was like, "How you gonna be a revolutionary and you can't even tell your man the truth?" You know what I'm saying? I'm like, right. She was like, "Well, standing up for your rights and telling your boyfriend the truth are two different things." Jake was like, "Look, either you tell him or I will." And she was like, "You ain't gonna do shit." He was like, "I bet," and walked the hell out. I was like, "Now why you say that to him?" I was like, "You gonna tell him what he ain't gonna do?" I was like, "This ain't Captain. You can't control Jake. Jake ain't finna be ran by no motherfucker body. So it is what it is. I don't know what you thought this was, or who you thought you was talking to, but Jake will blow your entire shit up real quick." You know what I'm saying? So, you might as well get up there. Then she over there, she talking about some come back and stuff like that. Where you going? Like, bitch, away from you. That's where he going. So we see Jake and Kevin, and first we see Kevin. He getting ready for the party. He getting dressed up, clean as hell. Then they switch over to Jake. We see him getting, his stuff together, putting his bow tie on, cleaning, putting his Jordans on. I was like, oh shit, he over here got some J's. All right, Jake, I see you. Look at Mike's sock. That was too clean. Then we see Monty, and she's like, "Oh, you look nice." And he was like, "I tried." And he was like, "You look nice too." And she was like, "Okay, let's go." And they left. That was a little cute moment between them. I'm loving Jake and Monty's bond. Now we get to this party. child, and it was just a mess from start to finish, child. Um, First we see, do the swole head ass talking to the kids, talking about some they the ambassadors and he want them to talk to people, and then he was like, um make me look good or whatever, and try not to eat all the refreshments, and then he started laughing like, no, it's okay, go ahead, go eat them. I'm like, dude, this ain't even funny. You're not even funny right now. I'm like, dude, go. Just go about your business. And, Jake looking like, fuck that dude. Jake can't stand that dude. So after he walked off, he was like, let's go. And so all the kids turn around and they head in one direction. And Kevin, he's standing there by himself looking at Jake and Jemma. And he goes other direction. I'm like, why you ain't follow them? Literally all the ambassadors, all the kids went the same direction except for Kevin. And he just gonna stand there. So I was like, okay, whatever. Now, we see Kevin later on. He trying to talk to Jemma, talking to her about the event and how it's nice and everything. And she like, yeah, I know it's not really your thing. And he was like, what's that supposed to mean? He was like, nothing. And he's like, well, can I get you something to drink? And she was like, no, I'm good. And she's so busy paying attention to Jake, because Jake done walked off, and and she's so busy paying attention to what he doing. She ain't even listening to Kevin. And Jake then walked off, and he started talking to some girl, and and he's like, how you doing? I'm Jake and everything, and he's carrying on this conversation, and Jemma got in her feelings, and she leaves Kevin over there by himself, and she goes over and confronts Jake, like, I know what you're doing. And he's like, what's that? She was like, you trying to make me jealous. And he was like, well, is it working? And she was like, of course it is, you asshole. And Jake just started laughing at her and just walks the hell off. Like, if you don't get out my face, like, for real, like, I never told you to go tell Kevin what's up and, leave me that alone, you know what I'm saying? So he walks the hell off. And she follows behind him, like, I ain't done talking to you or some shit. And I'm like, girl, you don't go. So later on, we see them sitting there listening to Tracy's speech or whatever. And you could tell, Jake ain't really feeling it. He like, ain't really trying to hear that. This whole time they sitting at this table, though, by the way, Jemma is like all up in Jake's face, you know what I'm saying? Kevin just sitting there looking at them like, and I don't understand how people was like, they was playing in Kevin's face. Jake wasn't playing in this boy's face. That was all Jemma. Jake was really like over the whole thing, to be honest. So Jake gets up and he walks out, and Jemma notices that he gets up and walks out, so she follows behind him to see where he's going. Now Kevin comes back and he notices that their chairs are empty, that they had both got up and left. So he just sitting there and he's staring at the chairs like, what the hell? Trying to figure out what's going on. Now, deep down, Kevin know what's going on. He know what's up. He know it's something that's been going on between Jake and Jemma. He peeped it when they did the show together. He automatically was jealous. And, you know what I'm saying, was trying to call her, see where she was at. He already was suspicious that something was going on. Now, Jake and Jemma, they get to this little wherever he was walking to, and she was like, where are you going? And he was like, I'm going home. He was like, I don't belong here. And she was like, what are you talking about? He was like, the only reason they made me a ambassador is because I got my ass beat by the police. I ain't nobody's charity case. And she was like, wait, you know what I'm saying? Stay here with me or whatever. And he was like, why ain't you told nobody about us? You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like, I'm too bougie to bring home to your rich daddy. She was like, no, it's complicated. He was like, nah, it ain't. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Kev look better in your arm. That's all that is. And she was like, no, he approached me first. And you didn't. And he was like, I don't chase, bitches or whatever. And she was like, stop talking like that. And he was like, that's how I talk. So basically what she's saying was, when she said Kevin approached me and you didn't. Basically, she was saying, I wanted you, but you didn't approach me, so I settled for Kevin. Basically what she was saying. And I'm like, you foul as hell for that, because if that was the case, then you should never even mess with Kevin to begin with. If that was the case, you should have just turned Kevin down, especially if you knowing that you liking his best friend. So Jake is like, I don't chase bitches. And she like, stop talking like that. He was like, that's how I talk. So she like, wait a minute, come here. Like, do you want to get out of here? Then it cuts back to Kevin, and he's looking for them. And I'm still trying to figure out how he even knew where to look for them at, because I'm like, they ain't nowhere near this party, and they like somewhere up in, the stairways and stuff like that. So he walks around, he tries to open up one door, and he doesn't see them. And then he turns and he looks up and he sees them kissing. And he's looking like he couldn't even believe it. And then he turns around and, he steps back and he makes a sound, and they turn around. And Jemma's like, oh, shoot. And she turns around and she starts to, I guess she was going to go after him, but Jake stops her. And by that time, Kevin had took off. He running and he's crying, he's wiping tears. And, I felt like a couple ounces of bad for him, I'll give him 100, And after that, we see Jake and Jemma, they walking like they happy or whatever. They holding hands and stuff. I'm like, the fuck? Okay. I guess whatever that. I guess the bag is out. So, shit. It is what it is. So then we see Kevin, and, he's getting ready to leave. He's about to call him a Uber. And to me, it looked like he getting ready to do something. And I'm like, I hope he don't go and try to do like some drugs, something like that, to try to deal with this, because that would be the wrong thing to do. I just need him to just, shake this shit off and go by his business. So we see him getting the cab or whatever, the Uber. And this is the last time that we see Kevin that night. Now, here is where I'm going to break this thing down all the way from season 3. This whole entire storyline. Now, from season 3, we knew that this was ultimately going to happen. If you were paying attention, they set this up perfectly in season 3. We seen, like I said in my prediction video, if y'all go through my videos, y'all see from last season, I made a predictions and theories video. If y'all go back in that, you will see where I said from the very first time that they met Jemma, that, it was intentional that the writers had her meet both of them at the same time. That was intentional. Also, another thing that I said was intentional was this scene right here with Jake, Papa, and Kevin. When Papa asked, Kevin's permission, to step to Maisha, I was like, this is foreshadowing of what's going to happen between him and Jake. Only this time, when it comes down to Jemma, Jake isn't going to ask, Kevin's permission. And just like I said, this is what happened. It is what it is. This was all foreshadowed in season 3. Even when, Trig even pointed out, when Jake had sat up there with him and was like in episode 6, I believe it was, of season 3. And Jake sat up there and was like, I'm going to meet Kevin and his girl, whatever, at the roller rink or something like that. And he rolled his eyes. And, Trig gave him a little side eye and was like, you like his girl, don't you? And he was like, man, hell no, I can't stand that girl. And Trig was like, that usually means you do. You know what I'm saying? So we knew that it was something that was going on there with Jake and Jemma. And then on top of that, the way they kept going back and forth with each other, talking shit, like we knew what was up. You know what I'm saying? we knew that they liked each other or whatever. So when all this, but to see it played out like this, it was like, man, I didn't think it was gonna go down like this. I didn't think that he was actually gonna mess with her while they were still together. I thought it was gonna be like, they break up or whatever, and then he step to her after the fact or whatever. But even if you go back earlier to this season, when they was on the bus going to that college, if you notice, when Dakota came and sat down by Jake, if you notice when she sat down, started talking to Jake and asked him about his arm, and Jemma looks up over there, and the look on her face was like, you could tell that she was jealous then. And I was like, girl, you something else. Like, you could tell, like, she was in her feelings when Dakota sat down next to him. She was not feeling Dakota sitting next to him at all. She was like, bitch, you got to move around. You know what I'm saying? But damn, really? Like, Jake is my favorite of the kids. He's been my favorite of the kids since last season, since he started stepping to do that shit. But I can't abide this shit. I mean, if it was after they broke up, then I would have gave 2 fucks because, like I said, Kevin was on my nerves anyway, so it didn't like it, and I'm gonna keep that all the way 100 too. Kevin ain't 100% innocent in this situation either. I don't care who don't like it, who gonna get mad at it. It's the truth. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Kevin did some fucked up shit, but don't nobody want to talk about that though. They just mad because the topic is sensitive. The topic of a friend messing with another they friends, no significant other or ex or something like that is sensitive to their asses. But just because you dislike this, what they did more than what he did, doesn't mean that what he did wasn't just as fucked up, because it was. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but it is what it is. I can't relate to that shit because I ain't never had no friend do me like that, and I ain't never did a friend like that. So it is what it is. But, you know what I'm saying? Kevin's actions in the beginning of the season, like I said before, led to this shit. Every action has a reaction. Jake and Jemma ain't start moving like that, like they was moving for no reason. You know what I'm saying? And people want to act like they just out of nowhere did this shit. Kevin and Jake been into it all season, and so have Kevin and Jemma. You know what I'm saying? And he pretty much pushed them into each other's arms. I'm just gonna keep it 100, and it is what it is. Not saying that they're right. They not justified in this. I'm just saying I'm gonna call Kevin out on his bullshit, and it is what it is. We have to acknowledge his part in this, and you can be mad at Jake and Jemma all day long too. I'm mad at them too. You know what I'm saying? Because they could have handled this a whole lot differently than what they did. But in the same token, we have to hold Kevin accountable for his actions. You know what I'm saying? And the disrespect that, he threw out there in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And truth be told, to keep it all the way 100, he been disrespecting Jemma since they've been together. If you want to keep it all the way a buck, if you go back to last season, you'll see how he was treating her back then when all she was trying to do was help his ass. You know what I'm saying? Because he got mad because, she told the girl about Keisha. And it was like, I understand that you ain't want nobody knowing what was going on with you, but for you to treat her like that and, stop talking to her and, and when she approached you, you still wasn't trying to talk to her, but then as soon as she offers you sex, all of a sudden, like, oh, all of a sudden your ass want to talk. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that didn't sit right with me. It didn't sit right with me that she offered her body to him just to get him to start talking back to her, and it also didn't sit right with me that he took advantage of the opportunity. I don't care how nobody feel about that, but that didn't sit right with me on either side, and it is what it is. And so then this season, it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's like every time he go through some shit, like with the police stuff like that, she'll try to help him, and he just outright like disrespects her and treats her like garbage. And I'm like, and then you surprised that she don't want nothing to do with you no more. So this time, when he stopped talking to her, so he ignoring her calls, he leaving her on red. And so this time when he do that, she stopped she ain't try to call his ass back no more. And so then she tried to get him to do the video with her, and he was like, no. So then she asked Jake. And so then it wasn't until he seen her and Jake on this video, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I guess I'll call her back now. You know what I'm saying? Now that his ass jealous, that she's getting attention from Jake. Now it's like, oh, okay, let me call her back. Let me try to get my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, nigga, you shouldn't have been. You thought that she was just gonna be there for you to come back to after you did the fuck shit that you did, and she wasn't. Now, granted, she didn't have to go to your best friend, but either way, she was gone. You know what I'm saying? Because you was on some fuck shit. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Now with Jake, we all know what went down between them at the beginning of the season. Kevin was on that fuck shit at the hospital and stuff, talking about some when Jake was like, maybe if I had my uniform on, I would have walked away too. And he gonna say some bullshit about some. Nah, I walked away because I listened to the police and got on the ground. So basically, you blaming him for his attack and justifying the police and whooping his ass just because he didn't get on the ground when they said to. Okay. And if you notice right after that, Jake started moving different. Jake started being short with his ass and not really fucking with Kevin like that. And I don't blame him. I would have fucked with his ass either. So I'm like, I don't understand why people talking about something. Well, Jake just said fuck Kevin. I've been saying fuck him too. Period. It is what it is. I'd have been like fuck that nigga too. And it is what it is. Now, I don't know if I wouldn't mess with his girl or whatever, but I'd have been on some fuck that nigga shit all the way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna need people to quit acting like Kevin is innocent in this situation, because he is not by a long shot. With that being said, y'all, I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get my videos when they drop. And if I missed anything, hit me in the comment section if you disagree with anything. If you agree with what I said, you can go in the comment section and leave a message. I'm always up for interacting with y'all, and it is what it is. But until next time, y'all, I will see y'all for episode 6. I can't wait to see what else they about to do with this season. I know it's about to be good as hell. So yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Take care.